Welcome to Parker Dam State Park, and we're going to start our trip on the Souder Trail. And welcome to 2025. Timber Adventures thanks you for coming along on our walks. We have Nessie and we have Timber. Nessie, she knows her voice. She turns around and looks immediately. Timber, well, its hearing's not that good. Souder's Trail is a short loop. It's a very nice loop. There's a couple trails off of it. I should say there's one trail off of it. You have Souder's Loop, and then you have Skunk Trail, which connects up at the other end. This follows along, of course, Parker Dam being a very popular state park nowadays. Back in the day, it was a CCC project. So it was a massive project to build a dam. There was a lot of logging also. So there was a lot of trees planted over the years, of course, during the CCC. And we'll see a lot of pine and conifer and growth as we walk along here. So trail starts that man might find unity with nature. There's a little saying at the end here. So I'm going to keep on cruising along. This follows along the Laurel Run, which lies off to our left here. Laurel Run is a trout-filled creek that runs into Parker Dam Reservoir. The dam itself, the body of water. On this trail, many a times I've run into many deer, and I ran into a bear once a long time ago. So there's quite a bit of nature through here. This is on the outer fringes of the actual state park itself, so it starts going out a little more. If you want to do some different hikes that take you for a few extra miles, a lot of people will take Souder's Trail here, and then they'll hook into Skunk Trail, which is along the top. And this will go down into the little valley where it will walk alongside of Laurel Run, and you'll get a chance to see the creek. And think about how back in the day that creek was used to float logs. And in fact, some of the areas that we're going to go past here used to have a sign up that said, please admire the raised earth in the area surrounding you, or the stone like walls that have been made. Those were purposefully made into dike features so that it would hold water, and it would allow them to have a splash dam and float the logs. So absolutely beautiful trail though coming through here. We're through these eastern hemlocks is really neat. Such that you'll find a lot of eastern hemlocks where the CCC planted. Most of those appear to be red spruce, and you'll also come upon a bunch of white pine as we make our way through here too. My boy just walked under a tree limb, so I'm just gonna make sure he's not covered here. He is got some husky and Nikita in him, and he has never really had too many problems with the cold, except for when I first got him. And he had a paw that would go kind of numb whenever it would get cold out. I think it dated back to his days of being a stray. So he came from Gateway Humane Society, which is located in Falls Creek, Pennsylvania, and I have gotten several of my dogs from there now. I've always had great luck with the workers. They take great care of the animals, and I've always found them to be extremely welcoming and good folks. hear the wind today. It is rather chilly, probably in the 20s with the wind. Trying to put a glove on, so I kind of, sorry for the crazy video there for a second. And off we go back into the tangling. Back into the winding trail that goes through the pine, through the hardwood forest, along Souder's trail. All the work on Parker Dam took place from 1933 to 1941, primarily during the time the Civilian Conservation Corps was active. The actual dam itself was built, and I believe it was 1936, they had a very bad flood come through, and it destroyed the first dam that they built. So they had to rebuild the actual Parker Dam itself. So, in case nobody knew that, it's an interesting little tidbit fact. And we have some stairs to go down here. Got some bunny rabbit tracks. I was just getting ready to shine down and show you them, and Timber briskly ran through them. Got some hare tracks there. Cottontails most likely. I don't think we have too many hares that you're going to see in this area. Although interesting, I was just asked this back whenever hunting season started. I was pheasant hunting, and a conservation officer was talking to me. He asked me if I had seen any, come across any hares, and I was like, you know, lots of bunny rabbits. And although I don't shoot bunny rabbits for small game myself, you know, I know a lot of people have, and I haven't heard a great deal of people talk about taking many hares. So it's an interesting question. So there must be a population of them big enough for them to allow hunting on, because they are in the Pennsylvania hunting book as well. This is a pretty cool trail how it winds through here. Across a little wooden bridge down here, which is usually slick in the summer from the moss and algae. And over here on the sides we have this area is all built up along here. Okay? And we had just coming off the trail there, and you can see that the trail's slight rise, and it's built up there. This is the area that used to have the sign that said, look around, see if you can see signs of the old dikes from logging times. And getting everybody heading in the right direction. So yeah, it's a fun bridge back in the day, so back in the summertime. Come on, guys. Here it is. Holding the splash. This stone wall was constructed during the logging era of the 1800s to maintain water depth and channel the logs down to the Parker Dam. The water level was raised by a series of splash dams along Laurel Run. And that's Laurel Run. I don't want to go too close to Laurel Run. All right, hold on here. We'll go over and check it out. Laurel Run was running so low this past year because of the lack of rainfall we've had. And it's not bad right now. This is a common area where game come through right here, and they get out of there. So this is a natural, or did have native trout in it at one time, of course, but that's all. Probably very little in the sense of native left for the trout, especially when it's being stalked downstream. So yeah, so this was an area where they built up with a stone wall. And there's much more of the stone wall as we come through right here. You can see the wall build up. So, build up, ship the logs down through. a nice walk. You can see the creek quite a ways. In the summertime, of course, that's covered quite a bit. Got some good healthy sized trees through here. So we have some life left in them trees. Those all appear to be the eastern hemlock. I'd probably say that they're in the 60 to 80 year age range. And I'm basing that on the fact that this area was logged and then re-logged, and then the CCC had come in and replenished by replanting sections of the forest. Therefore, a lot of the replanting took place in the 30s. So we're closing in on, by 2035, 10 years from now, we'll close upon 100 years. So there might be some trees in there, like I said, 60 to 80 for the... This one's definitely an older tree here. Somebody let that one stand. Probably because it's not straight enough to actually get any good board feed off of. But it's definitely an older tree. And folks, by older, we have to look into and consider the industry. And when everything was gone through 1830 the first time, and then 1850s the second time, this particular area was probably a little later to be developed. So I believe whenever they came in to do the Civilian Conservation Corps came in, established a camp, and started to work on the projects in this area. Your 1930s, and this area had become like a desert, Pennsylvania desert of emptiness because of the logging. So a great deal of the logs were gone by 1930. I've done some checks into neighboring areas. I've covered Winterburn Ghost Town, and this is one of the sites that the engines from Winterburn would actually travel up this direction and get some of the logging timber and take it back to be processed there. So that's down the road a bit, but so Winterburn was pretty much logged out, and they were done with its use by 1923 whenever they started moving stuff. So any type of logging was completed prior to that. So you're looking at 1923, so we're 100 years from that day whenever Winterburn was, gone. As affected as an actual town itself, it was gone. And then they came in and replenished, started planting again. So a lot of what you're going to find in some of these areas is your final growth of some white pine that's coming up. So the white pine, for instance, these are not very old. These are rebirthed and starting after the days of the heavy logging. It is a renewable resource for timber. I think I recently read a report that Penn State did, which says something to the extent of, at the rate that trees are growing throughout the world, all your lumber and timber per year could never keep up with getting rid of them or killing off all the trees. So whenever you hear talk of, getting rid of certain areas and too much lumbering being done, you have to take into consideration the area. For instance, they are doing some logging throughout the state parks and around in this particular site in the woods right now, and I always hate it because they take out a lot of the hardwood, and it looks, you know, it just looks desolate. But they'll probably start some small forest fires that are actual, you know, contained, controlled management. And each year I've noticed in the areas that they've logged, they've done some of those. And within weeks of burning out little areas, you can just see the green growth. So, I mean, it does help to rebirth that particular area. Especially when some of these trees that are being taken out are effectively, you know, you do have oaks being taken out. You do have, you know, timber that's going out of there that is worthwhile in quality. But they're never going to get past a certain age. Trees do have a lifespan. And whenever you're in certain situations, in a certain atmosphere, you'll find that the trees around here, when they start getting older, they start to get a little uneven on the earth surface and the ground. The ground, we end up with a lot of windfall. So the trees are getting blown right out of the ground, toppling over, because we're dealing with a different type of surface. And there's a lot of rocks. Soil's very loose in areas. So whenever you have that loose and you have the erosion from before, because these were heavily logged and neglected long ago, so you have that kind of atmosphere happening, your hardwood trees are only going to get to a certain age before they're going to die or run out of resources in the soil, and you're going to hit a lifespan on those. It's not like in some areas where you can get oaks. Very few areas. There's maybe 1 or 2 areas in Pennsylvania where there's oak trees that are 200 or 300 years old. I believe there's a couple 400-year-old ones. You're talking very rare in this area or in Pennsylvania in general. So this area doesn't support, you know, some high-aged trees. So if a tree typically, for instance, a beechwood tree, typically a 60 to 80 year lifespan, then they start to die off. And not far from here, we have the Marion Brook Memorial Forest, which is up in Cohana. And the trees are now in there, you know, they've crested, they've hit their peak, now where they're dying off. And when you go up there, you can actually see very little of the original birch trees because they're slowly dying off. Here we are, Skunk Trail. So if you go that way, it takes you to Skunk Trail. Go this way, we're on Souder Trail. We're going to finish up the loop. But as I was saying, the beech trees have surpassed their age and are dying off. And I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that section now that those trees are fading. I'm going to do a big time out there. My dog's had my feet all tangled up. So I left off saying I'd be interested in seeing what they're going to do with the Marion Brooks Memorial Forest up in Cohana, now that most of the birch trees that were planted are slowly dying off. And, you know, it's a changed environment now. Maybe put up a little, there's still a little dedication monument up there, to maybe keep the old dedication monument and talk about the birch trees and how they were originally planted, and maybe cover a little bit about how they're gone and why. That would be interesting to see. Brush some snow off my boy. This guy here, he just barges straight through the snow. No care in the world. And as we're covering this day, this is just one small trail and a series of many trails that you can do up here at Parker Dam State Park in ClearfieLd County, Pennsylvania. I believe this is a really nice starter trail for people. If you have a group, you have some people that maybe want to start off, this is good. Get them started on this. It's got some history involved. Maybe stop, give them a rest, allow them to see the history that's involved in it, point out the different features. On Laurel Run, if you walk right alongside of the creek, you'll come across many different small directional outflow weirs that are made to direct the water flow in certain areas. Probably it's all left over from the days of logging long ago, so you don't find a lot of them as you walk along the actual run. But this would be a great trail for starters. It's not very far, gives them an idea, lets them see a different environment, lets them see different areas of the forest. I mean, we've gone from an evergreen, almost alpine-like forest into some hardwoods, and then we'll, go back into the pine trees, the evergreens. So it is quite beautiful through here. I think it may be a mile loop. And that probably includes parking at your car, walking from your car and back to your car. So I think that's just valid enough space to have people enjoy a hike if they're starting off, and not too far that they're going to hate you and feel like they've hiked excessive amount by the time they're done. So once again, I thank you for strolling along with me, and hope you didn't get bored of my hot air. For man and nature are all one in the trailhead. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the walk. We look forward to going for more strolls in the future. Not long ago, I did a video on Parker Dam Boardwalk and the trail that you can walk on, and the little Laurel Run Trail, I believe it's called. And at the time, we were kind of at an in-between stage. We did not have snow yet, and the fall colors were gone. Everything looked dead. And I'm coming back through here today. I just did a quick walk elsewhere, but look, now that you have the winter scene and you've got some, it's just very, very beautiful through here. So it covers over all that death, all that brown vegetation and dormant grasses, and opening out into the wintry wonderland in Parker Dam. Built, and then a flood took it out in 1936, and then rebuilt. All in the course of about 5 years, I think, is what it breaks down to. The surrounding pine trees, a pine forest planted. Civilian Conservation Corps, hard at work. They built this entire dam. I'm glad I was able to film it in the winter and show you the wintry colors, how it looks, without all the doom and gloom. And thank you.